So I guess it's true, who controls the media controls the world. And I'm pleased to introduce our next speaker before our coffee break. And what?
We're laughing at you, sorry.
Okay. Did I say something funny? I didn't. I'm pleased to introduce our next speaker, Jérome Delormas, and he is joining us from Paris, the city of Paris, where he directs the Gaîté Lyrique. And Gaîté Lyrique is completely untranslatable, but it is actually a museum for new media. And currently they have a show all about computers and going inside the computer and traveling around in it. And it looks like a really important venue for both the asking of questions like the questions we have here, and also the education of the public so that the public can have a more thoughtful relationship to media. So please welcome Jérome Delormas, who's been brought to us by the French consulate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, hello. Thank you very much for your invitation to the organizers, to the French consulate. I'm very happy to present to you and to you, all of you, to be here to listen to me. I'd like to present you a new experience in Paris of a new cultural place, a new cultural center dedicated to digital cultures. What could be today a cultural center exploring the creation at the digital era? This is the challenge. And it should be totally different than the other places. One important thing is maybe to think La Gaîté Lyrique, which is the name of the old theater, because it was a heritage. This theater, it was a operetta theater. The director in the 19th century was Jacques Offenbach, famous composer. So one thing important for us was to think this project as a kind of hypertext. I mean, our world is more and more specialized, and the black box now is not to the service for the citizens. So we have to open our mind, and we have to try to look what is the design today between the specialist and the specialization. One metaphor quite interesting for me is a medical metaphor. When Ivan Illich, for example, spoke about nemesis medicale, when you care just a fragment of the body, you create new problems, and always solving problems, which generates new problems. So we need to think today's world, we need generalist thinking, generalist places. And this is the case of La Gaîté as we dream it, because it's a challenge. It's what could be a new cultural center, not what should be, it's what could be. So it's a choice. Maybe so a space for culture in the digital era, just an ambience. Could we down the light, please? And I need sound. Good? Yes. So we work with different fields, but we try to link them and to look what is the design of today's world. So we have exhibitions, concerts, etc. I will detail. But I show you this these images, it was one of our first event about skateboard culture. Nobody was waiting from us a project about skateboard, because skateboard is not digital at all. But it's a kind of manifest for us to show that the users are as important as the technology itself. So we visited architecture, design, video, music around the skateboard, and how an urban practice can generate a new culture. In that case, this house you can see should be built in California, and we made one of the rooms of the house in the Gaîté Lyrique as a skatable house, as you see. It's a house of the future. Another example, and maybe my talk could be titled Relocate. An example here. Pictoplasma is a festival about character design, and a first generation in the end of the 90s and beginning of the 2000s of artists made a lot of characters through the computer and for the screen. It was really 2D projects, and with the high haut débit, le haut débit, high speed, a kind of spontaneous generation of characters was coming on. But the very new generation now, young artists, take back the characters in the real world. These characters, for example, had been created for the screen and by the screen, and they come back in our world, sharing our world. So the movement is really to relocate the digital. Exactly the same process through this project we made about gaming. And the game designers we invited to make this project, a lot of them made real games, mixing digital and space and playing. And it's very interesting because digital cultures finally bring back very old and archaic, very human practices like gaming, like playing, for example. So in La Gaîté Lyrique, we really try to explore that. Other example of relocation, Motion Factory, it was last summer, about animation films and how a young generation is crossing old techniques like stop motion and high tech with a computer, etc. And we showed in the project how it is made and how it's a kind of magic process to do that, crossing the medias. Excuse me, it's quite heavy. We organize a lot of concerts and nights. And as you see, we have the tools to immerse the audience in images and in music. In that case, it was Carl Craig with the visual artists collective to make the visuals. So it's one of our specificities in La Gaîté Lyrique to be able to make hybrids projects like that. And to be very close to pop culture is something very new and very digital-oriented cultures. I mean, it's an occasion for us, and it's quite political, to, how do you say, rebattre les cartes, to have a new play, to be able to have a new play, you know, and to escape from very vertical and very authoritarian cultural conception of the fields, very vertical, you know, the silo we say in French, and how to go out of that, to escape of that. We create specific projects like this festival, Film and Music Experience, so also crossing movies and music in events. This is the project Greg was speaking about. It's for children, but not only for children from 3 years old, but for children in our heart, for children in adults age. So in that case, for example, it's a very large project with the exhibition. With we create a kind of small university with scientific lectures for very, very young children since 3 years old, for example. So screenings. Just a comment about this picture. We created a space to make live events to escape from the frontality of the auditorium. And this is, at the same time, it's a cafe, bar. It's a TV studio. We have a streaming system and a live show space. So this is really an incarnation of what we mean when we speak about place media. So we produce contents on the web, online, and at the same time live. And it's a way to make the talks and the relation between the audience and the talkers more flexible, more democratic. Workshops are very important for us. The practice is a way to discover the world and to reappropriate as citizens the technology and the world. We have also an incubator. This film is about a startup incubated in our incubator called The Eyes. It's a photo magazine using augmented reality. So we don't have time to look at it. But we have more or less 40 startups incubated in Gaîté Lyrique, working mainly on media, culture, of course, and innovation, and social innovation. And social innovation is quite important for us. I will come back to that point later. This is another example of a startup incubated. It's a startup working on transmedia projects. So new ways to count stories, new storytelling, new fields in culture. And all that is possible, and it's working very well because La Gaîté Lyrique is conceived also as a place to live, to come at daytime, to have courses, to have resources. For example, in that case, it's a kind of lab. We have to present app lab applications to the audience. You know, it's like an ocean. The parents and the people don't know how to manage with all the possibilities we have. So we propose to publishers, app publishers, to come and to present their project. It's curated. As everything we do, we curate everything at La Gaîté Lyrique. Video game space with a lot of workshops. For the kids, for example, we tell them, please let down the joystick, the controller, try to understand what you are doing. And for the old people, we say, please take the controller. It's exactly the contrary. And local, this is very important for us to be it's political too. Technology is not something cold and something without enthusiasm, without life. And we want to be really on and in our territory. So we are partner with an innovative application platform called La Ruche qui dit oui. And the system is to order online and to pay online your products, which are local products. And you come once a week at La Gaîté Lyrique, like a market, to take your products, to meet the producers, and to meet a venue, a place, a cultural place. So there are a lot of interest to do that. For example, this project, La Ruche qui dit oui, had 2 years ago an award for social innovation from the city of Paris. And branch, because each day I'm convinced that culture and art and creation comes also from being well together and living together. So it's really believing that we are building a society to be in common, and not only to be fascinated by technology for itself, bars, etc. And just to finish, I'd like to present you a cut in the building, because this building has been conceived like a big instrument, being able to produce and to show images, sound, and all the things that I commented before. And for example, this concert hall, you can have a black box or a white box just pushing a button. So it's really amazing for that. And all the building is with optical fibers, so it can be an instrument, really. And we gave the building to artists, sound designers, for example, and they use it as an instrument. And you see here the historical part, you can recognize. And so this is the 19th century, this is the 21st century. Be careful when you go from one place to the other. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. So now we have questions, and I have a brief announcement. Next year's conference is going to be in Paris at Gaîté Lyrique.
You're welcome. Come on, please.
We love the idea that new media is distributed and networked, but sometimes it's really good to see a center form as well, and this is a confluence. It's very beautiful. So I'm sure there's questions for Jérome, and one question came up for me was, do you realize the 3 dots that you have in your logo, they represent a gang in California with the line is that same part. So we
I like it.
Yeah, okay. It's a little dangerous. You be careful with that.
Yeah, okay.
But anyways, any other questions? Yes, Rudolf, go ahead. Yeah, you're on.
It's on. Okay. Jérome, thanks a lot. Looks like a fascinating place. I have 2 questions. One is, can you speak a little bit about your choice for the title, museum or center? And secondly, is there a way that you could compare this to the significance of the Centre Pompidou in the 70s, what that did, how that transformed culture, and what you're trying to do now?
Yeah, I really like your questions. Thank you. First, the title, the name of the place. In French, we have an expression which says nom propre. It's like my name. I'm Jérome. So it doesn't have any sense. It's my name. And it's the same. It's just a kind of reference to the past as a heritage. And the mayor of Paris, who took the initiative of this project, asked us to have this reference to the past. But it's quite, I don't know, maybe it's not true, but it's quite charming and so French, Gaîté Lyrique. And I'd love to hear you pronouncing it.
The sweetest sound.
No, so it's just a kind reference to the past, to our history. The second point, you are totally right, because one of my inspirations was the Pompidou Center, but the first one, the Pompidou Center of 77, not the actual one, because it changed a lot. But there was a kind of utopia, including the architecture. It was, you see, the platform concept, which is so contemporary now. But they put walls in the Pompidou Center. So now it's a classical museum. It's a normal, I could say, and quite old institution. But the first Pompidou Center was our inspiration, yes, sure. And we try, it's a way to cut the hierarchies between the different fields. As I said, it's a way to have a global and generalist vision on culture today. So that's the point.
Great. Next question?
This is
Yes?
sort of practical, because it reminds me a little bit of what's going on, like at the Exploratorium here, our science museums. And I'm curious first about funding, what you charge to go, because some of curation I can't afford to go to, let alone take a family. So I'm curious about the funding, who gets to be there, and then who, in a sense, how do you work with the community of, quote, Paris about what's going to come up next? What, is there input to the curation?
Yeah. So maybe it's not original for you, but in the French field, it's very original, our business model, because this is a private company. We are a private company, but we have a contract with the city government. So they give us more or less half of the budget, but not to help us to develop the project, just to have public service offer for the audience. For example, to have the Médiathèque Centre de Ressources, it's free, and we have a specialized team, etc. So, and this company have 3 shareholders, les actionnaires. So I have a board, and I have the city government, both to tell what I'm doing. So this is quite, and half of the budget is private, so come from sponsors, ticketing, bars, etc., and the other half comes from the city. Yeah. And the other question, yes, we work as a publication in a way, like a magazine. I refused totally in the staff to have owners of fields. There is no owner of visual arts, no owner of music, etc. This is a common work and collective work. Our instance to program, for example, is called a comité éditorial. It's editorial committee. It's not programmation. So we choose subjects, we choose themes, important themes. We have to care, and we decide then to curate them, and the way to curate them from the staff or outside. Sometimes we have external curators or in the staff. The staff in total is more or less 100 people to run a place like that, and you can add 100 more, including the startups. So 200 people living and working in that place.
Is there one more question, or are we all ready for our coffee break?
I know the answer.
Okay, well, thank you so much. That was really a fabulous, inspiring.
Thank you very much.